So, hopefully we've all got all the things that we need. If not, just feel free to run and grab whatever you need and just join back in when you're ready. All right, so let's set up our Pilates posture. So we'll go ahead and take our feet, big toes and heels together. Take a little rock back on those heels and just open those toes to a comfortable sort of distance, okay? Don't try to force them to open. Just let them open to where they naturally go, all right? From there, we're gonna lift up the heels and place them behind those toes. Ideally with the toes pointing forward, but they can turn slightly out if that's more comfortable. We'll go ahead and take our little rock forwards and backwards. Let that weight settle into the middle of the feet. So big toe, little toe, and heel, pressing into the mat. And we'll give those knees a nice wiggle. Okay? As we breathe in, we're going to lengthen the legs. Take a quick check to make sure those knees are in line with our second to middle toe. And definitely not trying to give each other a little cuddle. Okay? So nice long legs, but with the knees relaxed. So no locking out those knees. We don't want to put any pressure around that knee joint, okay? So for our hips and our tailbone, let's just find a little bit of movement there today. It's Monday. Maybe we didn't do anything over the weekend, or maybe we did. We're feeling a little bit stiff, like me. So we're just going to bend our knees a little more and just tilt that tailbone forward and backwards. Just get a little bit of movement through that lower back. Don't go crazy, but we'll just take a little bit of movement. Now we're going to start to make the movement smaller forward and smaller as we come back until we stop right in the middle of those two extreme positions so that the lower back is nice and long and the tailbone is pointing down to the floor. The hip bones are not tilting forward and not tipping back. Okay? So from there, we're going to lengthen that spine a tiny bit more by breathing in and lifting those ribs away from the hips, okay? As we do this, we're gonna feel some space come between the vertebrae. We're gonna lift up to the top of the head, and we're gonna just think about breathing into the lungs and the ribs, so that as we breathe out, we can switch on those muscles between the hip bones, okay? So imagine that straight line from one hip bone to the other. As we breathe out, we draw in behind that line. And we want to keep those muscles engaged, which is why we want to breathe into the lungs and the ribs instead of down into those muscles below the belly button. And from there, we're just going to move the shoulders. So up and down, rolling back, rolling forward, just whatever feels good today. Find a little bit of movement. Good. And then we're going to lift those shoulders up to the ears. Take a little roll back. Turn the elbows to the back of the room and open the palms forward so that we open through the chest. And a little squeeze between those shoulder blades. Okay? So let's start to warm up the shoulders. We're going to do a few things with our arms, chest, and shoulders today. So we're going to get them nice and warm. So what we're going to do is we're going to lift one arm up as high as it will comfortably go. Keeping the spine nice and still, we're just going to bend that elbow, maybe pat ourselves on the back, maybe not. Lift the arm up and release down. Other arm, so from the side it's going to look like this. When we lift up. Now as we bend the elbow, we're not arching the back, pressing the chest forward. The spine stays nice and still. And then back down. We also want to make sure that we don't let the elbow go out to the side. It should be pointing straight ahead or maybe up to the sky, depending on how the shoulder and arms are feeling. So we're going to breathe in to lift, breathe out to tap, breathe in to straighten, keeping that shoulder relaxed, and down. If we want to do both arms, we can. Again, we're not going to let the elbows come apart, and we're not going to let the spine move. So take this one nice and slowly, so we can really focus on what the shoulders, what the spine, and what the elbows are doing. Okay? So we should start to get a nice warming around the shoulders and hopefully a little bit in the back of the arms as well. We're going to work on those triceps a bit today. Good. So we'll do two more, either another right and left arm, or 2 more with both arms. And then we're gonna do something. What are we gonna do? We're gonna rotate the ribs. All right, and down we go. A little bit of shake. Shake out those arms. Okay, take the feet a little bit wider, and the toes can turn out if it's comfortable. We're just gonna start to take a little rotation. Now notice that we're lifting the back heel to release the hip and the knee. So just release, let the arms swish like we have a really big skirt on, and we're swishing that skirt from side to side. Just loosen up through the spine a little bit, through the hips. And then we'll bring it back to the center as we are ready. And we're gonna step those feet back under the hips. Now, we're gonna go into our balance here, just to warm up a little bit more through the hips. So standing on one leg, and we can come off of our mat or over to the wall if we want for this one. We're gonna lift one knee up, just as high as we can comfortably take it. Nice and soft through that standing leg. Out to the side, and bring that foot down. Other foot, same thing. We're gonna lift to the front, take it out, keep both hip bones forward, and down we go. Okay, so let's just do a few more of those. So we wanna make sure that we're still switching on between those hip bones so that they help with the balance part of this exercise. Good, now let's reverse. So open the leg out, keep the hips forward, lift it up like we're trying to touch the shoulder, and then bring it forward and down. So out to the side, forward and down. Don't be surprised if the hip clicks when we do this. A lot of times mine will click when my leg goes out, so the one we did first. But as I do this one, it's usually fine. So it may click one way and not the other. Both hips may click, one hip, no hips, and give it a little bit of a shake. Okay. Let's step to the end of our mat. So we're gonna start to warm up through the spine a little bit more. And we're gonna start to warm up through the wrist a bit more as well. So let's roll down. So we're gonna bend our knees, take that nice big tuck, and draw our chin to our chest. So rolling ourselves down nice and slowly. Arms are heavy, or we can use the hands on the legs, but we're gonna come down as low as we can comfortably go here. We're gonna place the hands on the floor, or the mat. We're gonna walk forward into everyone's favorite position. Yay! The plank. We can put our knees down if we wish. We're gonna hold here for one breath. Engage the abdominals, but squeeze the booty as well. Okay? Then we're gonna tuck the toes, lift the knees if they're down, and walk it back. Hands start to walk back. If we're keeping the legs straight to walk back, just be really aware that we're not locking out the knees. If the legs are straight, we're gonna bend the knees, tuck the chin, and up we roll. Okay? So the whole time that we roll down, walk out to plank and back, these muscles between the hip bones are switched on. So just take a quick check, make sure they're switched on, and then we're gonna go again. So down we roll. Make it nice and slow, so we just open up that space between the vertebrae. Really want to feel that stretch in the spine. And forward we go. This time in our plank, we're going to really think about pressing those hands into the mat so that we're not here. So really press those hands into the mat. Squeeze the booty. Knees can be up or down. Breathe. That is the most important part. Walk back. We can bend the knees to walk back, or we can keep the legs straight for a little bit of a hamstring stretch. But just make sure those knees are not completely locked out. Bending the knees, tuck the tailbone. Now lift that belly button, and let's roll it up. Whew. Let's do that one more time. So we go knees, tailbone, chin. We're going to roll down, 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 down. And out we go when we're ready. Good. This time, instead of walking back, we're going to bring the knees to the mat, untuck the toes, walk the hands back a little bit so they're under the shoulders, and very, very carefully, we're just going to make some circles over those hands. Just warm up through the wrists a bit. Just make some circles one way and then the other way. Good. And from there, we're just going to flip the hands the other way, sit back a little bit more, and just walk through those hands. It's a really good stretch for the wrist. Don't put quite as much pressure on as we did the first one. Good. And then we're going to take the hands forward, sit the hips back, have a little bit of a rest in our child's pose. And I'm just going to tilt the camera down slightly since we're not going to be standing anymore. Hi, Petra. All right, so now it's going to come to our hands and knees portion of the class, okay? So if we prefer not to be on hands and knees for this, then our option is to go onto our belly, take one leg up, and just open and close that leg, okay? So this is going to be our option because we're going to be taking our leg out to the side, okay? So if we're okay going on hands and knees, that's where we're going into our tabletop. So knees are under hips, hands or elbows under shoulders, okay? Relax the shoulders away from the ears, and like we did in plank, push those hands into the mat, okay? Now, settle that weight equally between both hands and both knees. Lift that belly button, and we're going to take one knee out to the side, okay? So we're just going to lift and lower. Try not to let the leg go back. We want to keep it in line with the hip, even if it only lifts the tiniest bit. That's fine. Once we've got the hang of what the knee is doing, we're going to try to take away this, all right? So come back to the center, equalize that weight, lift the belly, lift the chest, and try not to lean into that opposite side when we lift the knee. I know it's hard, but it'll be much better if we don't take that little lean. Now, if we want, next time we lift, we're going to hold, do a little extension, bend, and release that knee. So lift, we're not kicking, we're squeezing the thigh to extend, bend, and release. Okay, we don't have to extend, we can just keep lifting and lowering. We want to squeeze the booty though, so keep squeezing the booty, keep engaging between the hip bones. Yes, we'll have a little rest between these, I promise, before we do the other side. Let's make this the last one, and we'll sit back in that child's pose. So if you felt it in the wrist, again, take the back to the hands to the floor. Give them a little bit of a stretch before we go to the other side. Just give them a little bit of a walk through, okay? Now, between doing the planks and that first side, if we are really feeling it in the wrist, take the option to go onto the elbows or to come onto the belly, take the other leg up and just take that leg out to the corner and back in, okay? So remember the options if the wrists are feeling a bit, sore at this point. Otherwise, we're going to do our other leg. I'm going to turn around so I'm not kicking the wall. And I've got grass all over me from being outside. So knees under hips, hands under shoulders. Again, we're going to press into the hands so that we're not here, and no sort of banana back. All right, lift the belly, press into the hands. Squeeze that booty, and out to the side we go, okay? So once we kind of know the height that that knee is going to go on this side, try to then bring that weight back so it's nice and centered. So it's equal between the two hands and the knee that stays on the floor, instead of leaning into that side away from that knee that's moving. It is very difficult, but with a little bit of practice, it does become slightly easier. Let's extend. So we're going to lift, extend, bend, take it down. A think I have a question. Lift, extend, bend, take it down. Oh, it's just Pauline. Hi, Pauline. Lift, extend, bend, take it down. 2 more. Lift, extend, bend. The last one. Lift, extend, bend, and release. Oh, I missed doing as many on that side. Darn. Again, if we want, walk through those wrists. Okay. All right. So from here, we are going to go on to our front, so our belly. I'm just going to turn back this way. We're going to stay with the legs. So if we want to take a block with us to put under our head, we can do so for our first exercise. And actually even for the second exercise as well, to be fair. All right. Grass everywhere. So our upper body is going to be nice and relaxed for this first exercise. And we're going to lift that belly button away from the floor. And we're going to squeeze our booty. Okay? If we can, we're going to do both legs. If that's not possible today, one leg at a time. Okay, so right leg and then left leg is fine. We're going to bring our legs together. All right, so we want them to touch. So we have to really squeeze the booty and the inner thighs. All right, so take a big breath in, lift that belly, take a big breath out, and lift both legs up and down. So if we're doing one leg, we do one leg, but when the leg comes back down, it should be touching that leg on the mat. Squeeze and lift, release. So we're squeezing the back of the leg and the glutes to lift, and we're squeezing the inner thighs to keep the legs together. Okay, so several different muscle groups working here. Squeeze and lift. Breathe out to lift, breathe in to lower, and then we'll relax that head once we figure out what the legs are doing. Okay? It is harder to do this with the legs together, so we'll do the easier option in just a moment. Okay? So if we're doing single legs, we're going to do 4 more. If we're doing both legs, we're going to do 4 more. So here we go. 4 and 3, 2, 1. Oh, and release. Okay. Open those feet to the corners of the mat now. So take the feet to the outside edges of the mat. So they're a little bit wider. This one will be easier, which is why we did the hard one first. Okay, so same thing. We're either going to lift one leg and then the other, or both legs, but we keep them in that V shape. Okay, we don't bring them together. They stay nice and wide. We breathe out to lift and in to lower. Out to lift and in to lower. Making sure that the glutes are working, but we're also working those muscles between the hip bones. Okay, that's what's supporting the lower back here. So make sure they're switched on. And on top of all of that, we need to remember to breathe. Oh, so many things. Good. Let's do our last 4. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Oh, I felt that. I don't know if anyone else felt that. I felt that. Let the feet come back to a comfortable distance apart. Take a little rock from side to side. All right, so for our next exercise, we're going to go back to our arms. All right, we're going to do push-ups, but not normal push-ups. These are a little bit easier than our regular Pilates push-up. So we're going to start with the hands a little bit in front of our head. Okay, so kind of about, just above the forehead. We're going to squeeze the booty. We're going to breathe in. We're going to lift, bring the elbows in to a little bit of a baby cobra, but we want the arms straight. Okay, squeeze the glutes here. Let the elbows open to come down. If that felt okay, take the hands a little bit further back, maybe forehead height. Breathe in, push, straighten the arms, relax the shoulders, pull the elbows in, and release down. Again, if it felt good, hands can come next to the shoulders. We're not going to go all the way up to straight arms the closer the hands come. Okay, so if the hands are at the shoulders, we probably won't be able to go to straight arms, which is fine. we will still get that work in the triceps. We want to feel it in the back of the arms here. So we're going to push up into cobra, relax the shoulders, squeeze the shoulder blades together. So we're squeezing the back of the body. So the back of the body is working, the front of the body is getting a nice stretch. So a nice stretch for the abs, for the chest, for the shoulders, and lots of work for the triceps, the glutes, the lower back, and the upper back. Let's do 2 more. Last one, I feel this in my triceps. And then we're gonna release, and oh, my arms, ooh, and relax it down. Good. Hands are gonna come under shoulders when we're ready. And we're gonna push up and back to our child's pose to stretch that spine in the opposite direction. So I quite like those cobra press-ups because they're easier than the regular Pilates push-up where we go down from a plank position, but they work the same muscles. They work the tricep muscles in the back of the arms. So hopefully everyone was able to feel that in those muscles. We are going to come onto our side next. So if we lay on one side and stretch that bottom arm out, turning the palm up so that shoulder can really relax to bring that head in line with the spine. Then we'll stretch those legs out, lining up the shoulders, hips, and ankles. Okay? If we want the legs slightly forward, that's fine. Take a nice tuck with the tailbone, and let's just lift and lower the top leg. So pointing the toes forward, we lift and we release. If we prefer to have the toes pointing down slightly, that is fine as well. We just don't want the toes pointing up, okay? So the knee stays pointing to the front of the room. We breathe out to lift, we breathe in to lower. Nice big breaths. As we breathe out to lift, engage between those hip bones. And just warming up through those outer hips a bit. Okay, let's do a couple more. This next one, when we bring the leg down, only bring it in line with the hip. So don't let it come all the way down. So from here, we're going to take that leg forward. Oh, my hip just cracked. And take it slightly behind the hips, but not enough that the lower back arches. Okay? So we're going to breathe in to come forward and lead back with the heel. Okay? So we're going to kick forward. Now imagine as we go back that we're dragging that heel through quicksand. So resist. Okay? So squeeze the glutes, squeeze the hamstring, resist. There should be no movement in the lower back. So the hip should not be going forward and back. It's just the leg moving. Okay? We can use the fingertips on that top hand if we need to. Good. And we're going to make this the last one. And then we're going to bring those legs together. Okay? Take a little rest. We're going to repeat those 2 exercises, but this time with the legs together. Now, if that's too much, we're just going to repeat the exercises we just did with the top leg. Okay, so exactly what we just did. So, squeeze the inner thighs together. Squeeze the knees together and the ankles. Okay, we don't want any space between those legs. As we breathe out, we'll lift. As we breathe in, we'll lower. Now this time, we want to think about lifting that bottom waist away from the mat. It is difficult, okay? We want to lift it so the underside is working just as much as the top side. Lift and lower. Breathe out to lift and in to lower. Or go back to single leg if it's a bit much today. Okay, 2 more. Lift. Last one, we're going to hold. This is much harder than with one leg. Our legs are going to come forward and we're going to come back just in line with the hip. Okay, so if we're doing both legs, we're not going to go behind, we're just going to come back in line with the hip. Okay, but forward and squeeze that booty. Forward. Oh, it's so hard. 2 more. Forward. Try not to let those hips rock forwards and backwards. Last one. And release. Oh, pull that top knee either into the shoulder or let it come onto the mat in front. Give it a little smack. All right, we are going to flip around. Okay, so we can either just roll over to the other side of the mat, or if we prefer to roll and face the back of the room, that's fine. We're only going to do the same 2 exercises twice through. So let's quickly line everything up and switch on the muscles between the hip bones. We'll flex the feet when we're ready. Stack those hips, so make sure that one hip, that top hip, is not forwards or backwards. And we will lift. So up we go, and down we come. Breathe out to lift, and breathe in. Good. So we want to start to feel this in those outer glute muscles in the sides. So we've got the bigger glute muscles in the back and the smaller glute muscles in the outer hips. And those are the ones that we're focusing on with our exercises here. Okay. So we'll do 3 more. So 3, 2. Now when we release this one, only bring it down in line with the hip. Make sure that tailbone is slightly tucked so we're not arching that spine. Forward and back we go. So we're going to kick the leg forward. Bring it back slightly behind the hips, but without arching that lower back. So as we bring that leg back, really squeeze the glutes, really engage between the hips so that lower back doesn't move. Drag it through that quicksand. It should be difficult. We want to resist going back. Really clicking today. We'll make the next one the last one. And we will bring those legs back together. Ooh, a little bit of a shake. Ugh. All right, so we can either go back to single leg or both legs. So squeeze the inner thighs, knees, ankles. Let's do it. Exhale, lift. Inhale down. Just lift as high as we can without rolling back. And try and lift that bottom waist. It's like we're trying to make a little tunnel underneath our waist for a tiny car to drive through. All right. Lift the next one and hold. Either one leg or 2. Bring it forward. Oop, almost lost it that time. And back in line with the hip. So with this one, 2 legs, we don't drag it behind, okay? We just bring it in line with the hips. If we're doing single leg, we can take it slightly behind, but not if we're doing both. Oh, I've lost count now, so we're going to do 2 more. So 2, really squeeze those inner thighs together. 1, and release. Okay, when we are ready, we're going to roll onto our back to finish up. If we want to have a block behind our heads, we can grab it as we go onto our back. So we will quickly reset. So taking a nice big breath in. As we breathe out, engage in between the hip bones and pressing the lower back down towards the mat. Okay? Fingertips are going to come behind the ears. Okay? Not the whole hand, just the fingertips. Elbows are nice and wide. Our first move, we're going to breathe out and just lift a little bit of a crunch without letting the elbows do this. So keep the elbows wide. We're going to take one shoulder across and twist, back to the center with the shoulder blades lifted, and then head down. Okay, so let's go again. We're going to lift, twist to the center, lift a little bit higher, release. Okay, so we're going to breathe out. Breathe in to twist. Breathe out, lift higher to the center. Breathe in to release. All right, so up, twist, center, and down. So every time we come to the center, we try to lift a little bit higher. Release. Working them abdominals in the middle, as well as those obliques that pull everything in like a nice corset. Keeping those elbows back and the neck nice and long. All right, one more each way. I'm so used to having music. It's very strange when it's so quiet. Lift and across and center and down we go. Alrighty, so keeping that lower back nice and close to the mat, we're going to lift the legs in the air. Okay, now if we wish, we can bend the knees and have the knees over the hips for this one. We're going to take our legs apart, okay, just as far as they'll comfortably go. Don't mind my back leg, there's a wall, okay? Come back in, and we're going to cross one over the other, okay? So if I turn it this way, then we're going to go out, squeeze the inner thighs together, and the other leg comes on top, okay? So it's just out and cross. Keep engaged in between the hip bones, so that lower back's not lifting, and really use those inner thighs. Okay, if the knees are bent, we're just going to come out and in. We're not going to worry about crossing. Okay. Now, for a little bit of extra fun, what we're going to do is the next time we come in is we're going to lift that tailbone. Okay, so legs out, in, lift. Now, what we are not doing is bringing our feet towards our head. Our feet are lifting straight up to the sky. Now, if our knees are bent, they do pull in a little bit, but not too much, okay? Lift. We want to think more up, less over, because this is really easy, okay? What's not easy is lifting straight up. That's very hard, okay? So we want to think about touching the toes to the ceiling. Oof. To really lift that tailbone and get those lower abs involved. I know it's hard, but I've got banana bread to work off, so, you know. All right, two more. And last one. And release. Bring those knees into the chest. All right, we've got one more exercise. And then we will announce the winner of our joke contest today. Which means I have to find my phone because the message is on my phone. I don't actually know where I put it. Okay, so what we're going to do to finish up is draw letter D's. So legs back up. Just have the legs as straight as they can be. If they're a bit bent, that's fine. The hamstrings just might be a bit tight. Go ahead and press the lower back down and engage. So our right leg is going to come down to the floor, out to the side and around, to draw our capital letter D, okay? Left leg is going to go down, out to the side, and it's going to draw a backwards D, okay? That's it. That's all that's going to happen. So right leg down, out and around, forward letter D, and the left one draws a backwards one, okay? That's it. Nice and easy peasy. Keep pressing the lower back down. It's not allowed to lift. And if we feel like the lower back is okay, we can do both legs at the same time. So they go down, they go apart from each other, out, and back up together at the top. So down, apart, draw the curvy swoop, and back up. Okay? So we do have the option to do both together, or one at a time, whichever we prefer. Okay? So we can either draw 1D or 2Ds. Everyone will probably be happy to know we are not going to reverse this. We are going to do 4 more. So right, left, or 4 more doubles. And now it's 2 more. So a right and a left, or 2 more with both. Whee! And pull those knees into the chest. Good. So we have a couple of minutes to stretch. So I think what we'll do is come up to sitting when we are ready, because we did quite a lot of inner thigh. So we're going to start with the inner thigh stretch. And we can also throw in a glute stretch at the same time. So we're going to take one leg out to the side. And usually we would take this bent leg and pull the heel in quite close. What we're going to do today is move it a little bit further out, because that's going to give us a glute stretch at the same time. 2 for the price of 1. This knee on the straight leg is going to point up, so we're not going to let it roll forward. When we are ready, we're just going to walk the hands forward, okay? Just as low as we can comfortably go. We should get a stretch in the inner thigh on the straight leg and the glute on the bent leg. If we don't feel the glute stretch, move that foot a little bit further forward. Oh, I feel it now, a little bit further forward. Oh, tight glutes. I don't know why they're tight. I didn't do anything all weekend because my knee was hurting, so I laid in bed and sat on the couch all weekend. So that's probably why they're stiff, actually, because I didn't do anything. Good. Walk it up and we'll switch. So take the other leg out. So bring this leg in first. Let it go where it naturally wants to, and then move it slightly forward. Okay? We'll walk those hands forward when we're ready. Ooh. I have grass all over my socks because I ran out to get our my stuff out from the yard and didn't put any shoes on, so I've got very grassy socks, which is not great for my allergies. Luckily I took an allergy pill beforehand, but everything's a little bit itchy. Alright, let's sit and stretch both legs out. We will stretch the back of the legs, and then we're going to stretch the back of the arms to finish up. So, feet can either be pointed or flexed, okay? If we flex the feet, we're going to get a bit more stretch in the back of the legs. If we point the feet, not quite as much of a stretch, okay? So we can choose which we prefer. We can do a little bit of both. So we're going to breathe in, sit nice and tall, and we're going to breathe out and just round forwards, okay? Press the back of the knees into the mat, whatever the feet are doing, and just relax into the stretch, okay? If we have the back rounded, we'll get a little bit of a stretch in the spine as well. Good. And let's slowly come up, and we're going to sit comfortably. We're going to stretch off the triceps. Okay, so what we're going to do here is sit nice and tall. Take one arm up, like we did at the very beginning, and give ourselves a pat on the back. We don't want to push the chest forward or arch the back, so make sure that we're still engaging between the hip bones. So pull that belly button in, and no movement in that lower back. Our opposite hand is going to come onto the arm and give a nice gentle push back. If we want to grab the elbow, we can. Just be really careful not to put too much pressure on the elbow. It's going to be really hard not to push forward here, but the more we pull in those abdominal muscles, the better it will be, the easier it will be to keep the spine straight. Okay, and then we'll do the other side. So, take that arm up, give ourselves a pat on the back. Hand can either come to the tricep itself or onto the elbow. Gently push it back. Maybe walk the fingers further down. Pull those abdominals in. Make sure we're not pushing on the head. We should be able to easily move that head and look forwards. And release. Give everything a shake. Ooh, my phone is right here. I have to drag it over, it's plugged in. Okay, so if you are here to find out who has won the joke, our winning joke today is, I'm going to so mess this up. What's the difference between Dubai and Abu Dhabi? People in Dubai don't like the Flintstones, but people in Abu Dhabi do. Alright, so that was submitted by Lisa Tipping. So Lisa, either get in touch or someone will get in touch with you to get your gift certificate. So thank you very much. That did make me laugh this morning when I read it. So thanks very much if you join me live. Thank you as well if you're joining me later. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'm going to go and get all the grass off me now, and I hope that you have a good week. Just a couple of things. I'm here with usual on Thursday at 11 for bar, but next Monday, because it's a bank holiday, we're going to move Pilates to 12 o'clock. So it'll kind of be right after Tanya's HIIT class before. All right. So thank you very much, everyone. Enjoy your day. Of course, the person has stopped mowing now, so, you know, that's how it goes. Anyway, we did fine inside. If you have any questions or comments, as always, just send us a message. Thanks, Dion. Thanks, Christine. Thanks, Clive. Thanks, Petra. And I'll see you all next time. Yeah, thanks, Pam.